not to be like the back in my day we had good Star Wars people, but like you look at now.
True though.
Like the remasters, especially with Star Wars games, right? People are more excited for the re-releases of like Bounty Hunter and Republic Commando than they are for the new games that come out.
Welcome to Idiot Plot, a comedic podcast critiquing, discussing, and analyzing the media industry through reviews, debates, and historical deep dives.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to an episode of Idiot Plot. I'm David Yanish, and joining me today are my co-hosts, as always, Alex Overdahl.
Hello there.
And Justin Neitzel.
General Overdahl, you are a bold one.
Yep. If you didn't get from the clue, today we are celebrating Star Wars. We're going to be way late with this, but the week we are recording this is May the 4th, Star Wars Day. So we thought, what better time to sit down and talk about our love for Star Wars than today. So we're just going to get right into it. We're going to talk about Star Wars, things we love about Star Wars. I'm going to get us started with, I guess, my earliest Star Wars memory. I don't know why it took me so long, but like I remember like not liking Star Wars until one day my dad sat me down and forced me to watch the movies. And I don't mean like DVD. I mean, my dad had that original trilogy VHS set, the one with like Darth Vader, Yoda, and the Stormtroopers' faces on it.
The sacred text. That's
like super rare now. And like I saw like a half price books for like $85 or something like that used. Like it goes for so much. And he had that and like we'll never get rid of it. That's how he watches Star Wars still to this day. And like the quality is super bad on that set because we watched it so many times, but he refuses to get rid of it because it's the originals. So I think we didn't grow up on special editions, but we watched all of episode 4. And then he made us watch episode 5, like right after. My mom fell asleep during episode 5, but to be fair, she fell asleep to like 90% of the movies we watch as a family. But like my dad was so jazzed for me to see it that like I didn't have a choice. I just sat down. But of course I was blown away. But this was like right before episode 3 came out, I'm pretty sure. Because like Star Wars was everywhere and I was finally curious.
Yeah. Mine, I don't remember. Like it's been such a part of my life from the beginning because like my parents are obsessed. Like I don't remember what my first memory was because it was just like I don't remember my first time watching the originals because it was that early. But I know my earliest memory that I for sure remember was seeing Phantom Menace in theater. So I don't know, what was I, like 4 or 5? I don't know. But I saw it in theaters and like I specifically remember, you know, again, it's so long ago that it's hazy, but I definitely remember the pod racing sequence and just like, you know, kid me is just shitting his pants like greatest thing I've ever seen. So I remember that and just, you know, I had tons and tons of like the action figures and stuff like that from both time periods, and I was obsessed very early on. That was probably one of my first like film obsessions.
You have the Millennium Falcon carrying case?
I didn't, you know, and anything
I did.
I did, however, have the AT-AT for like the 6-inch figures, the big one that walks around and makes the noises.
Yeah.
And the Anakin for episode 3 where you can change his head to the charred head.
Dude, episode 3 toys were the shit.
I had the Luke Skywalker that has magnet for a hand in for episode 5 that came off.
Well,
although it was a pain in the ass playing with it because it would always come out then.
I had General Grievous that would like break apart, but I lost his organs, which means you couldn't go back together. So that thing was worthless.
My beginning story is, I believe, the way I remember it was I wasn't feeling well one day, and either my dad stayed home with me from school, or it was the weekend, and all of a sudden I was just laying on the couch and he's watching TV and he's like, well, we're going to watch this. And I'm like, okay. And by the end of it, I was feeling a lot better because of all the excitement from the movie. And he only showed me the first one, but he showed me there were 2 others, and I know later down the line I accidentally put in 6 before 5, and then I was like, what the hell is going on? So I'm like, I must have put the wrong one in. Because I was there at Jabba's palace. I'm like, who the fuck is Jabba? Why is Han in Carbonite? So I had to stop it, pull out the other one, and put that in, and I was like, oh, now I know.
I'm assuming episode 4 was everyone's first movie.
It should be.
Yeah,
newer generations.
Yeah, it would have had to have been.
Well, I have a coworker that has shows her kids Star Wars in chronological order, and that just hurts.
Yeah, it does.
It hurts me.
Prequels are built to have been based on you've seen the originals and can understand what it's like building for.
Yeah. Well,
That and you don't
I
like
think it
Jar
was
Jar.
so that the bad guys wouldn't win in the end, but at the same time, that just it hurts me. It hurts me to hear that. Because like episode 4, there's so much wonder in watching that movie for the first time.
Oh, yeah. I mean, all the wonders there of learning what the Jedi are, the lightsaber, droids. I mean, it has everything.
I think I was ruined by the fact that I knew that the other movies had bigger battles and stuff. So I remember as a kid being kind of underwhelmed. Now, of course, I'm not. Like, now I get it. But there's a time. And of course, my dad was one of the people that saw Star Wars in theaters and won't let you forget it.
Oh yeah, every time I talk to my mom about it, it's saw the first one how many times, then 2 came out and was obsessed, and then had to wait 3 years to find out what happens to Han Solo.
Mm-hmm.
Was he gonna die? Was he not? They didn't even know.
Well, my dad talks about with him, like, his parents didn't want to take him, and apparently his sister saw it and fell asleep in the theater. And then he went and was like, "Oh my god!" Like I think he saw it like 2 or 3 times.
Oh, I can imagine.
Because he was so. I mean, everyone did.
Yeah, well, it was one of those.
Now I kind of regret this, but I saw Force Awakens 4 times in theaters.
I saw
Because I had so many different friends groups to go with.
Yeah.
First time I saw it by myself, because I had to see it opening night.
That's right. Because you asked me if I wanted to come with you, and I said no.
Yeah, you're like, no, I gotta wait for my dad. I'm like, okay, I respect that.
Because he bought tickets. He already had tickets.
No, I totally understood. And then the second time, I went with my other group of friends back home. Then I went with my sister, and then I went with my dad. Because my dad, who doesn't normally like going to the movies at all, but he loves going for Star Wars.
See, well, I mean, Star Wars, you have to see that on the big screen if you can. Because they just had the Empire re-release over the summer that was really popular.
I went to that.
Even through the shutdown. And most showings I saw were like sold out.
I drove like an hour and a half to go see that. It was fantastic.
And well worth it.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't see episode 1 in 3D when that came out because episode 1 in 3D.
Oh, that's right. It came out in 3D.
Yeah, I don't want to see stuff in 3D that's not made by James Cameron.
I saw episode 1 via the Fox broadcast.
See, that's how my dad first saw it.
I missed a lot of scenes, so it was kind of funny. You're walking through like a Sam's Club and they got episode 1 playing on the TV, and you're like, "Oh, I know it's about to happen." All of a sudden, something else happens. Like, wait, that wasn't in the movie.
Yeah, I was too young, but I remember my family watched it. Like my whole extended family watched it on TV on Thanksgiving when they first showed it on Fox. I didn't because I didn't care at the time. Mm. But my dad was a prequel hater, so after that he kind of gave up. But because that had to be right before episode 2 came out, and they were trying to get the hype train going for that.
Yeah, that one I saw in theaters.
Because there's a time I remember where like Fox showed at least one Star Wars movie like every week. I think there was around the time episode 3 came out where they were showing them like Sunday afternoons. They would show one of the original 6 Star Wars movies. So I watched them all the time. And then Spike got the broadcast rights, and they played them like every week.
Now TBS and TNT have it, and they play it like every other month.
Yeah, like it wasn't on TV for a long time though.
Mm-hmm. But it's one of the greatest things you can find on TV because you can have it on in the background. Good scene's about to come on. All right, back to work.
Yeah, that's how we did it. Because like, what else am I gonna watch? I'll just put Star Wars on in the background.
Because even if I'm not watching it, I know what's happening right now.
Yep.
You know, we had VHS recordings or something, and then I watched on that, and then like I can't remember if it was video or like if they taped it. I think it was like taped when it was on like cable or something, and then when the DVD set came out, my parents bought that, and I like wore that thing out.
Yeah, we never bought that because my dad loved his VHS sets too much.
So I have a question for you, overall, considering I know what David's answer to this is. So what version did you watch first? Did you watch the special editions or did you watch the originals?
Good question.
See, I know I've seen the special editions a lot because I watched it on DVD a lot, but I'm pretty sure the first time I must have seen at least the original, like the original of the original, because I know I saw, like, I knew Han shot first, like when I was a kid, you know, like I learned.
Didn't that DVD set contain the originals though, like the first one?
I don't
think so.
Because I know that like one of my roommates in college had a DVD set that contained the originals on it because he showed me. I've seen it.
Maybe.
I don't think it's, but I know like maybe whatever version they recorded on TV was the original. I'm not sure.
I just asked because I know mine was the special 1997 special edition, because at the beginning of every movie there was the sit down with George Lucas and talking about the VFX and going back and changing things, which looking back was like, oh, that was actually kind of cool.
Yeah, mine had that, but it was him talking about the movies with Leonard Maltin, like just in depth about them.
Mm-hmm.
But it's got to be like, you know, I accepted it because it was such a part of my childhood. Like, I didn't think anything of that. It was just like, oh, he shouldn't keep changing it. But like, I had accepted that they had changed the effects and stuff. Now looking back, that I've seen like so many other classic films and stuff, it's like, that's weird. Like, that's unprecedented. No one's gone back, like, because we know about new cuts of films, right? Like, this was the intended cut, whatever. This is like adding effects to an old film.
And he's still adding stuff. Like, stuff is still being added.
McClunky!
Yeah, fucking McClunky. Vader screaming no as he throws Palpatine. Like, what the hell is happening?
Yeah, it's why the Destabilized is so popular.
It was so weird because when I first started watching them, I never realized that I was watching a special edition. And everyone's like, always like, Han shot first. It's like, I always thought he shot first. I don't know what the discussion is here. And then you get older and you look online, you're like, oh, there's different forms of this movie. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's for the one sin George committed. Otherwise, I will accept no George slander here.
Well, like the OG special editions haven't aged really well at all. Like they kind of made the movie look really dated when it didn't look dated.
Scene with Jabba.
Yeah, that looks really bad.
Can we go in there now and re-edit that?
Jabba was a person. Jabba was a human being when they shot it, and he cut it to change the character of Jabba and then build up to him. And then in 6, they're like, "Well, we're gonna make him this, alien."
Which is funny because I got my sister in the Star Wars, and we were watching that, and she's like, "Why does he call Jabba a human being?" I'm like, "He's being an asshole, I think." And then later learned, oh, it was actually a human being.
Yeah, because Jabba was some dude in like a fur coat. He's just some guy. Like apparently,
like of all the shit, I actually like hate that somehow more than the shoot first thing. Like, I hate that scene is in there in the newer versions because like it doesn't make any plot sense. Like, it doesn't make sense. That's why they cut it.
Well, I've apparently heard that there's a cut of New Hope that exists in Lucasfilm Archives. It's like that's the original rough cut that was so bad Lucas fired the editors. like there apparently like clips of it have surfaced online, but like during like the first scene where the Empire is attacking the Tantive 4, the iconic tense scene, it cuts away halfway through that to Luke moisture farming and then cuts back to the ship.
Oh, right. I think I've seen this online.
Yeah, like
because he's looking up with binoculars and sees it going on somewhat.
Yeah, like it's a really bizarre cut of the movie.
That's very the Lucas like he loves those like long protracted openings that and then getting into the plot later, like the exciting open, like in Revenge of the Sith, you've got the big battle scene.
Revenge of the Sith was originally supposed to be like what, like 7 battles going on at once or something like that.
The rough cut of it, like the opening sequence was like an hour.
Yeah, it was like a whole movie in itself, and then he realized, yeah, we can't do this, and then cut it down.
I want to see that footage though.
Yeah, it looks really cool. Structurally, it won't work as well as it does in the final version, but that would just be cool to see because that's all really good stuff. One
nitpick of that opening scene in Revenge of the Sith is just that the Obi-Wan's fighter does the same things as Anakin's, and it's just a nitpick because it's just like he doesn't like flying and he's not that good of a pilot.
Well, he has R4 takeover. I just watched this last night. That's why it says nothing too fancy, because he has R4, like R4 does like this fancy maneuver, and he's like, yeah, nothing too fancy, and then R4 gets his head ripped off.
Well, I know a lot of things from episode 3 that people want to see, but like everyone talks about like the big lightsaber battle with Obi-Wan and those guards with the big baton, electro sticks. Apparently they had some big fight scene choreographed. That was never filmed. It was choreographed, it was put up, but it was never actually filmed. So that scene doesn't exist, even though I think all of us want to see it, because Ewan McGregor himself was like, I want to see that.
Yeah,
well, you can kind of see it in the Star Wars Episode 3 video game, where you basically
That's
fight
true.
them.
Oh yeah,
that's true.
And that because there's that short sequence where he fights one in the control room that's pretty good, where he cuts his head off and on.
He's still coming at him.
Well, and then there's the deleted scene that a lot of people know about too, which is the one. It's when Palpatine is fighting Mace Windu. Originally, he uses Anakin Skywalker, and there's still a frame of the movie where it's him holding Anakin Skywalker, and it's very clearly Anakin Skywalker, or sorry, Anakin's lightsaber. Fuck.
Oh, now I gotta go back and watch it.
Yeah, there's it. Yeah, but it is colored the beam red to hope that she would notice.
Mm-hmm.
That he's holding a different lightsaber. Which most people won't notice, but Star Wars fans are obsessive and will figure that shit out.
Fucking frame by frame.
Of course.
Especially with how can I go frame by frame to find something to complain about?
I wouldn't complain about it. It's just a cool little Easter egg.
Right, yeah, in that case, it's cool.
Well, because there's so much, like E.T. in episode 1, which when you know it's there, it's really easy to spot, actually.
Yeah, now you see it every time.
Although I want to see E.T. in episode 3, though. Like that's the part I want to see.
Well, and it's also funny because with E.T. being there and what E.T. does in his movie is kind of like, well, is he a Jedi? It's like it's kind of connected, somewhat.
I know, but that's how you get those shitty articles from like Screen Rant, and comicbook.com, where it's like, is E.T. a Jedi?
No, it's an Easter egg.
You got all the people that just completely overblown things.
Mm-hmm.
Since we're kind of on the subject of prequels, I have a question for you guys. Just popped into my head that I think talking about theories and stuff, which is, what is your guys' opinion on the Darth Jar Jar theory?
It's a very funny joke. That's my opinion.
I both love it and hate it.
Like, there's so much there that says it might be true, but at the same time,
it seems really out of here ridiculous.
It's a really well planned out joke.
The only part about it that really throws me off is the shots of Jar Jar mumbling to himself.
Yeah, in episode 1 where he's like basically saying the lines of what Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon are saying.
That part's weird. But other than that, the theory is just really...
probably Ahmad Best just basically being funny on set, being like, I'm going to move my mouth just like him. And then all of a sudden the animators were like, well, let's just keep it in.
Well, shit, this is mocap. We can't delete that.
Yeah.
For people that don't know, the Darth Jar Jar theory is the theory that Jar Jar was supposed to be a Sith Lord, but was so hated by fans that George Lucas undid that plot.
Well, and you can basically see that he's slowly but surely is out of the next two movies because he's got only like 1 or 2 scenes in each one.
Yeah,
He's also the worst part of the Clone Wars series. He's got like the worst episodes.
Why would they try and make episodes about Jar Jar?
Because you have to fill 22 episode season order somehow.
Jar Jar, like, I rewatched the prequels recently. I will say I love them, so I'm gonna say that right away. But like, watching Phantom Menace again, like, is Jar Jar like not great? Yeah, like, you know, a lot of it's like, okay, he needs to shut up. But like, I was kind of surprised at how little I was annoyed compared to like some of the characters in blockbusters now. I'm like, wow, he's less annoying than like half the supporting characters in a lot of movies now. Like, he's annoying, but I've seen worse.
And much like movies now, the fans almost drove the actor to suicide because of it.
Fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, that was... I'm at best did nothing to anyone. He's just in a movie.
Well, it's just like the people hating on Jake Lloyd too. It's like, okay, one, Jake Lloyd's he wasn't a great actor as a kid. Not going to defend his acting, but again, this is all on the director. It's the director's choice.
He's also a fucking child.
That too.
So, well, also, let's say it is his fault. So what?
Yeah, right.
Like,
what's his crime?
Like, wasn't his fault. Like, as like the thing, I see that all online, but it's like, okay, well, what if it was? That still doesn't defend. You still threaten someone for a performance.
Yeah, what's his crime?
Lucas?
He didn't act very good in your nerd movie. Like, yeah, come on, people.
Well, also, it's like, have you seen the other actors in these movies? They didn't do very well either. Ewan's not great in the first one.
But he's not Anakin Skywalker, Justin.
Well, I think the other problem is I think Lucas went too young with young Anakin. If he was like a teenager, I think it would have worked a little bit better.
Yeah, every time I watch it, like literally every single problem that people have with Anakin is solved if he's like 3 years older.
Yeah, I mean, you're right.
Like literally everything. It's like I feel like, you know,
if
I
you
feel
were
like
13 instead of 10, this wouldn't be a problem.
It makes the stuff between him and Padme significantly less creepy early on.
Because they're a lot closer in age.
Because I'm like, I mean, some of this, like, you know, some of this writing, I'm like, it's good, but like, he's too fucking young for it, so it feels weird. Like, it would work if he was older, and like, you know how he is with the pot.
Yippee!
How is this 10-year-old like flying a spaceship and battling shit? Like.
As sick as that sequence is, it's like he's too young.
It's a great sequence, but the fact that it's a little child doing it is one of my worst parts about blockbusters. Because like one of my biggest pet peeves of blockbusters is the annoying kid character that gets in the way, but is also somehow extremely overpowered.
Well, that was one of my most annoying traits, even like in regular cartoons in general, like the original Darkwing Duck cartoon.
And with Star Wars, yeah, Jake Lloyd was pretty annoying as the young as the young kid. But I will say though, the episode 1's poster with Jake Lloyd, the one where his shadow is Darth Vader, is one of the posters of all time, like top 10 movie posters. That thing is amazing. The fact that it's Jake Lloyd makes me laugh, but
for all prequels, but I definitely don't think like one gets enough credit for like the actual story, which is very, very strong and helps set up the rest of it.
One is so much better when you think of it not as a single movie, but as the first act of a greater story.
That's the one thing with the prequels. You got to look at them together as one whole movie, not 3 separate ones.
Well, and I think it works as one, but it's also like in retrospect, it looks better knowing where it goes because you see all of the seeds.
Well, and that's why I think that if you were to release the Star Wars prequels today, like right now, they'd be much more critically revered, because like back then viewing habits were different. We weren't used to movies that whose only job was to kind of set up different movies. Not saying that the Star Wars prequels are like the Marvel movie model at all, but yet it's still building to something bigger than just that's in its own individual movie. We weren't used to that, so if the movie's being judged by itself because we don't know there's something else coming, we don't know what else is coming. Now we expect this big movie to just lead into a sequel. We expect that we didn't get the full story.
And some movies just have like the ending, like the last 5 minutes of people explaining, "Hey, there's going to be another movie coming."
Setting up like 6 other movies. These were like, we're setting the pieces and then 3 concludes them. But that was like, why are they doing this? Why is there so much talking? Well, because it's building up the galaxy and the whole system so that you can watch it like crumble.
Why is there so much politics? Because that's going to play a really big role later on.
Yeah, I remember one like drinking game. It was like every time they're in a semicircle talking, take a drink. There's like 12 instances where they're in a semicircle talking.
I'm like, but why did people mind that so much? And then now with the, briefly dipping into the new ones, like that's one of the biggest complaints is that there's absolutely zero world building or politicking or sense of the scale. It's like, because you all complained about that in the prequels.
Yeah.
Like...
And they took what you complained about to heart and was like, well, we're not going to do any of that. And it's just like...
Any story
you auto-corrected way too much. Can we go back to where it was like in the original, where it was a nice balance?
Because unfortunately,
those like scenes in the prequels at all, I find they end up being very interesting.
Because unfortunately, in the originals, they just didn't have the money to do a lot of world building. Like it was hard to do that big scale stuff for very cheap. And then with CGI, it becomes a lot easier to do that because you can do the more fantastical sets with just computers, which does get a little old in the first 2 prequels. 1 and 2, the CGI does get pretty old pretty fast.
Especially 2. I think
2 is the worst offender. Especially when they're in the factory on Geonosis, and you just see Natalie Portman trying to run through something. It's like, yeah.
The behind the scenes of that scene is hilarious.
I think that's the worst. I think it every time I watch it. That's like easily the worst, like Lucas scene.
Because it'll look great.
I know this part's bad. I will defend like so much of everything in those films. I get to that scene, I'm like, yeah, I got nothing to say.
Well, and like, what I will say, and I thought about this even the first time I saw it. Even though I was not allowed to see this movie in theaters, I had to wait till home video, and boy, did that suck. But Revenge of the Sith is really a great fucking movie. Like, there's no real way to talk about it. Like looking back, it's a damn good finale. That is way better than most of the finales we get now, because even the finales are just setting up the next phase.
Mm-hmm.
Because everyone dies. The end. Like,
I mean, it was made. It was made with the idea that this will be the last Star Wars movie, probably.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think probably. I think it was most likely. Like 90%.
Yeah, I think, like some ideas from after, but he never really acted on it, and it was never going to do it himself. So like that was going to be the end.
Well, I think the outrage and the anger of the prequels kind of was like, maybe I don't want to make any more to piss people off again.
Well, it was. I don't think Carol cared about pissing people off. I think he more hated just the hate he got from people that was just overwhelming, right? Like you can't go. Everyone's like, you suck, like, you know.
All right. Well, let someone else do it and see how you guys respond. Bring him back.
I mean, that's the thing happened to Peter Jackson.
I always said his story ideas were great. It's just he needs to find someone who's a better writer, especially for love scenes.
But I would say maybe for some of that, but like I disagree with some of that because I mean, especially 3. Like 3 is fantastically written. He had a huge part in writing 5 and 6, more than he gets credit for. I mean, he wrote the final draft of 5. He did most of the story for 5, and like, I mean, the dude was up for an Oscar for writing before he even made Star Wars.
Like, also shouldn't have directed them all.
I think he needed to. I mean, he didn't want to, but like,
I think he needed to do the prequels for sure. Like
he offered to direct. I think he offered it to both Ron Howard and Spielberg. And I think Howard was the one that said, "George, it has to be you. No one else is going to get your vision. If you want this to be your vision, you have to do it." Because I don't understand what the hell that you are doing here. And then, it was so large concept. Like you look at episodes 1, 2, and 3 tried to do. It is more ambitious than like any other movie trilogy has ever tried to be.
Then 15 years later, Ron Howard's like, "Yeah, I'll do a Star Wars movie."
Money.
Wait, I don't have to try. Okay, yeah, I'll do one now.
But like, yeah, I mean, especially like, and by the time you get to 3, like 3 is so like inspired, and like there's so much energy to it, and with the direction, and it just like brings everything in, and it's constantly moving, and it's like, yeah, okay, no one else could have directed this.
Hayden becomes a better actor in the 3rd one.
He's really good. Like I was surprised watching that. I'm like, okay, he's really good in this. Like he actually gives a great performance. Because I just watched 2, and it's like, yeah, okay, he's not very good in this, and 3, he's great.
I never thought we'd see the day where fans are excited for Hayden Christensen to be reprising his role in Star Wars media. But people are so hyped for the Obi-Wan show that he's going to be back in it. And I never thought we'd see that day.
I didn't. Yeah, I thought I was gonna have to like defend the prequels the whole rest of my life, and then now everybody's come around. I'm like, thank you.
Well, you could thank Disney for that.
Yeah, I know. Thanks, Disney. I'll compliment Disney for once. Thanks.
And especially, because I mean, the hate was so big when those movies came out. It got annoying. It got irritating.
Like the reaction was very positive.
Yeah,
but 1
is positive. 1 and 2 is not. Like my dad refused to watch episode 1 with me when I wanted to watch it for the first time. Like he refused. I watched 1, I think, last of all of them. I think I watched 4, 5, 6 within like a week, and then I saw 2 on TV, and then saw 3 on DVD when it was out on home video for like Father's Day. But I didn't see 1 till like a year or 2 later. Because my dad just refused to watch it. I was young enough where I can't just go to the store and buy it myself.
Yeah.
So I had to wait till it was in the library, it was on TV, and I finally watched it.
That's one thing that's amazing. I'm surprised episode 2 is not PG-13.
How is the movie not?
You bet your ass 3 is.
Well, I know 3 is because that's the first one that was, but I'm just saying.
My parents.
Episode 2, he murders a bunch of Tusken Raiders.
He commits genocide in 2. He gets his hand cut off. Like.
My parents were so pissed off that episode 3 was PG-13. I remember that vividly. They were so pissed. Because they saw Star Wars as a kid-friendly franchise and were so mad that they made a movie that wasn't
the original.
But they weren't PG-13 though, and they were
didn't exist.
Yeah, true, but they didn't.
Or look at the cantina in 4 or Jabba's palace. Like that would be
PG-13 now. Yeah. I mean, honestly, the PG as a rating probably shouldn't even exist now. But
yeah, it's very rare to see it now.
Yeah, like G.
No, G is rare. PG is any animated movie, basically.
That's right.
We're just giving them PG now.
PG is parental guidance suggested.
But I couldn't see episode 3 of theirs because it was PG-13, and still, I mean, I did freak out during it when Anakin kills the kids. I'll admit I couldn't handle it, and I did freak out. That's how I was as a kid.
Who wouldn't as a kid?
Why?
I mean, I didn't see a lot of movies like that as a kid because my parents didn't want me to see PG-13 movies. So I remember that was one of like my first movies like that. That was like one of the first times.
Well, nothing's like sneaking your first R-rated movie, so PG-13's like nothing compared to that.
So
I was sneaking video games, but like my dad took me to see Terminator 3 in theaters, and I was like 7.
But you know what's really funny though? I still have the toys that I hadn't seen the movie. like I owned a lot of toys before I saw the movie, and so which was bizarre to me that my parents were okay with. And they're probably listening to this right now, so I'll probably get a text from them at some point after this comes out. That's how I remember it.
We were not as vicious as you say we were, son.
No, they weren't vicious. They were right. I freaked out. they were correct. They were good parents. I was just mad at them because everyone was seeing the movie and I couldn't. That's why I was pissed. Because all my friends went on opening day. A lot of them got out of school to go see Star Wars, to go see Revenge of the Sith, and I couldn't. I had to wait and see it on our SD 4x3 giant tube TV in the basement.
It was a theater.
For kids listening, those are the big box ones that don't lay flat against the wall.
Yeah, like I was so I was so mad. I'm still kind of salty about it. Not gonna lie. But not really. So, Mom, don't feel bad.
It is funny, like, you know, all the kids going to see it and stuff, like, you know, all of us, and it's like, you know, here they are watching some dude get burnt to a crisp by lava, which had his legs cut off. Like,
after he murdered a bunch of kids. And
even like
his pregnant wife.
And lots
this
of kids.
movie's really dark.
But it's like not, you're right, it's not dark at that level. Like episode 3 is like, I feel like that's one of the darkest blockbusters ever. It has to be. Like,
well, the bad guys win.
Yeah.
Like, it's literally the end of the movie is fascism taking over the galaxy. you don't
galactic empire.
And I don't want to hear people talk about how, like, Infinity War ended dark. No, it didn't. Because we all knew it was going to be erased the next movie, okay?
Well, especially when everyone who disappeared has a movie on the docket.
Yeah. There was actually, like, despite knowing, like, you knew how he becomes Darth Vader. You don't know exactly how. You don't know when Padme dies or how. You don't know what happens to the characters like Mace Windu that they made up. You know, there's a lot you didn't know, and they're like, what's the answer? Oh, we're going to kill all of them. They're all going to die.
Execute Order 66.
I mean, and you, what I loved as a kid, I loved Yoda as a kid. I love Muppets. And Yoda in episode 3.
Awesome.
So, I mean, the fight with him and Palpatine, the old man brawl, is so good.
Yeah.
It's
I think my favorite.
If he doesn't fall off that edge, I mean, he basically wins that fight.
I mean, literally, his whole plot is he needs to assassinate the head of the galactic government. Like, the movie's insane.
He wins, right? Like, not even Yoda wins.
What?
Like, yeah, he doesn't succeed. Yoda, you know, he's the most powerful Jedi at that time. He doesn't succeed.
Yeah, he fails. Failed I have, into exile I must go. On account, I mean, literally, the whole context of episode 5 changes when you realize that the Yoda is just basically hiding in, like, Florida or Mexico from the galactic feds.
He's like, I have one chance. I'm going to put all my energy into this. If I can't do it, then, well, we'd be screwed.
And Lucas knows the importance of that scene because that battle is cut. It's intercut with Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Mustafar, at least for, like, the first half of that fight.
Mm-hmm.
So Lucas knows the importance that battle has. And I think intercutting it with that fight was extremely smart.
Mm-hmm. And he knows when to stick with it too. Like the whole end chunk of Anakin Obi-Wan is by itself.
Yep. because that's the fight we all want to see. Yoda and Palpatine is the fight that story-wise needs to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Because how else? Like Yoda needs to do something that make him leave. But that whole movie it gets crapped on because it's a prequel. So people just automatically just throw it in with the other ones and crap on it. When in reality, they're all not that bad. If you watch them all as a whole, it's like Toll for Grace cut them all together into one movie, which I think to me shows that they're all one story.
Yeah, and I think yeah, there is kind of like a looking for complaints thing. Man, 3, like, I will accept no slander. That movie is like basically perfect. Like, that movie moves so well. But like, I remember some of the complaints about 2 when I just watched it. I was thinking about, like, you've heard people complain about the worm thing, right? Like, why are they sending like space worms? Like, do you know how many times that people have used like poisonous animals to try and assassinate people? Except like all the time. Why would you not send like super smart space worms if blowing her up didn't work?
Well, exactly, and you want it to make it look like an accident. You don't want it to be big and flashy. And
no, they just they got poisoned somehow. They died. Like, they wouldn't know exactly how.
And that's the genius, I think, of Lucas in a lot of ways, is that he understood history. He knew real history. I mean, you look at Palpatine's plan over the course of those 3 prequels, and it's historically accurate to the rise of totalitarian governments in the real world. Caesar, Hitler, like, they all come into power in very similar ways. You have the one dude who manipulates a time of crisis, and before you know it, he's unstoppable.
Yeah. Emergency powers. Oh, let's make it more permanent. Oh, I'm becoming popular. Oh, this emergency's never going to end. Oh, now the Jedi rose. I think I need even more power to stop them. We've been betrayed. Oh, now I'm supreme leader.
And we need to give it up for probably one of the biggest Oscar snubs of all time. No joke. Ian McDermott should have got nominated for Best Supporting Actor for Revenge of the Sith. He's freaking amazing.
Sure.
I'm gonna look up. I'm gonna look up what got nominated. You guys keep talking, but I'm gonna look up what got nominated.
This seems like a meme, but it's a meme because it's so good. I mean, he maintains part of it is the story push and stuff at that moment, but it's also like, maintaining an entire scene of dialogue at a theater, and it's like one of the best scenes in the series.
While also trying not to give away how much he knows.
Yeah, like he reveals his identity at like the perfect time in that movie. Like he pokes at Anakin a lot and plants these seeds, and then he reveals himself as the Sith Lord.
And you got when he's all after he's pretty much revealed himself to the Jedi, and he just starts. You get how he was in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, full Palpy.
I am the Senate.
No,
but it's so hard to do, and so many movies mess it up when somebody switches sides or like is convinced to do something, they'll like randomly flip. And in this, it's like such a gradual build, and he like sucks him in.
Well, because you also have the Jedi asking him to do something he doesn't think is right.
Yeah, the Jedi kind of mess up in that movie, like in the prequels, actually multiple times. Like,
the Jedi fuck up a whole ton in the prequels.
But it's in a smart way, though. It's an extremely smart way of like they're not perfect.
Yeah.
But I mean, what human is?
Okay, so Best Supporting Actor, the winner was George Clooney for Syriana, but the nominees were Matt Dillon for Crash, Paul Giamatti for Cinderella Man, Jake Gyllenhaal for Brokeback Mountain, and William Hurt for History of Violence. Yeah, Ian McDermott should definitely be up there.
William Hurt. I thought William Hurt won. I guess did he win or
no?
No,
George Clooney for Syriana.
But he's in it very briefly. Like Ian McDermott's definitely better, and I'm sure he would be better than somebody from Crash. Nobody likes that movie. So you're right. I mean, you're definitely right.
But it's just a popcorn film, guys.
I mean, like I said, our whole stance on blockbusters has changed so much. Also, Revenge of the Sith is the first Star Wars movie to not be nominated for Best Visual Effects, and that's horseshit.
What the hell?
Yeah, it was not nominated for visual effects where the other ones were. And the movies that were...
Oh, this list is awful.
Yeah,
King
King Kong won.
The Chronicles of
Narnia and War of the Worlds.
That's bogus.
Did they not see Mustafar? That whole, like, I mean, there's so many instances, but like Mustafar always stands out as like, that looks amazing. Like, all the lava effects are so good.
Well, Felicia looks amazing too. Like all the colors of the nature around it.
Yeah, I'm shocked.
Revenge of the Sith has aged extremely well. The other ones, not as much, but
I mean, I'll say King Kong doesn't look horrible. But I still think Revenge of the Sith looks better.
But they knew what they were doing, like, because they knew that some of it didn't look bad when they redid Episode 1 and they got rid of the scary meth head Yoda puppet.
Yeah.
And replaced that with CGI.
Honestly, that is the weirdest part of rewatching Episode 1 for me, is seeing a non-puppet Yoda. Like I remember the crack-headed Yoda puppet in Episode 1, and now it's like you go back and it's like it doesn't look the same.
That was the charm, though.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely more consistent and looks better, but like I do kind of want to see Crackhead Puppet again, just for the hell of it, you know.
That, and he looks kind of older than he did in the original trilogy, because he has so much more hair.
And weird, scary eyes.
Yeah, his eyes are like all...
The eyes are freaky in that puppet. That's the part that... I mean, the OG Yoda puppet looked kind of weird because it looked more like a Muppet.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of going off that, for how good Revenge of the Sith is, at least to me, I mean, nothing tops the OG trilogy.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'm not as keen on Jedi as some people are. Just because Jedi always underwhelmed me.
Yeah, I agree. But I also think the ending battle intercut between the throne room on the land battle and the space battle is done perfectly.
Yeah, that part is great.
Yeah, I think the throne scenes might be the best scenes in the entire like OG trilogy. Like that whole dynamic between those three, and the best lightsaber fight I think is still in 5, but I think like just the dynamic there is so good.
Yeah, I'd definitely say 5 has the best lightsaber fight.
The issue with 6 for me is that Lucas almost got... Well, I love George Lucas. I know you said you don't want Lucas slander. He did get way too corporate with 6, and was, I think, way too concerned with toy sales and stuff. And because that's the only reason Han Solo didn't die, is because he's afraid of action figure sales. And I don't think that's a good way of making a movie.
Well, I mean, Boba Fett had pretty high toy sales, and he killed him pretty lamely.
And didn't really do much to begin with. That was the part that I don't understand.
Well, he does track Han Solo, but that's about it.
He does just stand around and give orders, be like, lock him in the cargo hold, or he's no good to be dead. That's about it.
Has he even fired a single shot in the whole movies?
Wow.
Probably like frantically. And he might when they're trying.
Think so.
Remember when Luke shoots at him?
Yeah. That's the only time is in Episode 5 when Luke is trying to follow them.
Yeah.
Otherwise, no.
He does look pretty cool though.
He does.
But even Robot Chicken makes fun of that. We're contractually obligated to tell this kid's backstory. Well, I guess that's what you get for selling the most action figures.
Like that. I mean, because he does look cool, and he's a character that kids can make up their own stories about. I never got the hype personally.
I love Jedi. I do think like when I was rewatching it, like I do really like the Jabba's Palace stuff, but I'm like, this isn't quite as good as I remember until it got to the Emperor Vader Luke stuff, and I'm like, okay, yeah, like I love this. Like
What, you don't
That
love
one's-
the music scene? The and the hee.
Well, that's the new stuff. We don't talk about that.
I saw the despecialized, thankfully, so I got to see the much better original Jabba's Palace song.
Well, I saw, like I said, I saw the originals first. So when I first saw that scene for the first time, I had no idea what the hell I was watching.
Yeah.
I was very confused because I never saw it before. So I'm like, wait a minute, what the hell is this?
Wait, what? What's going on?
The same movie.
That is so amazing that we could all watch the same movie and all come away with different things based on which ones we watched.
They can watch the same movie and not watch the same. And three people can watch the same movie without actually watching the same movie.
I really wish that they should really release remastered original cut. Like, I know they can do it. They said their first response was that they couldn't do it. That's a lie, because fans did it, like finding random prints that had different parts of it.
Well, they couldn't legally do it at first because I think Fox owned them.
But
like
now
Fox
they own
owned
Fox.
Fox, the originals, but right now they bought Fox.
They own Fox. But now, from what I've heard, that at least the common street rumor is that George Lucas put in the sale contract that they could not release them. I think that's bullshit. But I am kind of shocked we haven't gotten them by now. I would have thought that we would have.
You think maybe they're waiting for George Lucas to...
Well, it would make so much money.
Yeah.
Like if they were, which they would never release them on video. They put that shit on Disney Plus and never give it a physical release.
Yeah, I'm starting to think now of reasons why Disney might like that. You know, they can't release it physically because then no one would sign up for Disney Plus to watch them. So then they would have to put them on Disney Plus, and then no one would get the other copies they have because everybody would just watch those ones.
Mm-hmm. Because I mean, you put that on Blu-ray, you could charge whatever you wanted for them. And people,
I charged like $100 a pop. I would buy them.
Like because that's people have wanted that for so long. It's just an HD.
You can find them certain places online, but I will not say.
I mean, the Time Theater, Oshkosh, Wisconsin. I don't know if I'm doing them a disservice to tell this, but they sold tickets to a specialized version. That I don't even know how that's legal.
Is that
legal? I will make it legal.
But I'm sure they found a way. Otherwise, why would they risk it? But that's something that people really, really want. That they'd be willing to pay tons of money for, because like, and I think it's less to do with specialized is better, and it's more to do with people like my dad. They want to see the Star Wars they fell in love with.
I would honestly love to see the originals just to see what is all different.
Right. To me, it was more like I'd never seen 6 completely despecialized, I don't think, because I had probably seen the DVD, which had a little bit. Of course, I saw it before Darth Vader, no, whatever. But and certainly I hadn't seen them in a long time. And it makes the effects more impressive because you see how much of it is practical and how much of it was done in the 70s, and it makes the effects more impressive because you're like, wow, they did this, so practically and stuff. Like you really get a sense of what was accomplished
way before its time.
Right. Like, yeah, how much it pioneered in computer effects, how much they did with practical effects.
Those miniatures.
What 2001 did, and building off that.
I mean, the miniature game in the OG movies it might only be topped by Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Well, it's like that image that always goes around of George Lucas standing in with all the miniatures and be like, well, if you had an hour in this room, what are you leaving with? I remember what I think Mark Hamill said, George's wallet.
Well, I got to see some of them because I went probably in 2008 at the Science Museum of Minnesota. They had an exhibit on Star Wars. It was supposed to be on like actual science, like robots and all this stuff. No one cared. Everyone went for the Star Wars props. That's why we went. So I got to see some of those miniatures, and I just remember being completely blown away. because I mean they're so detailed, like they look real.
And that kind of makes you appreciate the Mandalorian. They're kind of going back to that with that ship.
They are. It makes you appreciate practical effects more than CGI, for sure. Especially when you see like some of like the sets that actually weren't miniatures, like the land speeder.
Yeah. And, Lucas gets a lot, everybody talks about the sound and the computer effects, right? Because that was, like, the first film to use computer effects that heavily. They had been used a little bit, but, like, they were only a couple years old at that point. Any computer effects. And they used a lot of them, but doesn't get enough credit for what he did practically and just, like, the insane scope of it that was done practically with, like you said, with the miniatures and with sets and with stuff like that.
I mean, they built whole villages in the Tunisia desert.
They're still there.
Yeah, they're. I mean, you don't want to go there right now, but they're still there.
I mean, you
rotting away.
You can still visit Luke Skywalker's home base.
Because they just built a village.
Yeah.
I want to know who was in charge of digging the giant hole. Is this deep enough, George? No, keep digging.
It's insane to think that no studio wanted to make those movies. Which, to be fair, I have read the comic adaptation of George Lucas's original script for it. And if I got that script on my desk, I wouldn't want to make that movie either. But
he worked there for so long. It got rejected so many times, but then, doors started to open, like 2001 came out, advanced all those practical effects, then you started having some computer stuff, then Lucas had success, but it took him so long to get it made.
Well, part of it was that first draft of the script. Like, just for context, episode 4 as it was made is only the first act of the script for the first movie that George Lucas originally wrote. like that's how just insanely big this movie was. It was unfilmable. Even now, it'll probably be unmakeable.
Well, I don't know. I mean, we have DC's Zack Snyder cut.
True. And the writing wasn't that good to begin with. But Lucas did the right thing. He readapted the script, which is very humbling. Like, not a lot of writers want to completely restructure the baby, but he did, and it turned out to be way freaking better.
And he let his wife edit it and actually make it watchable.
I mean, to think that episode 4 was nominated for Best Picture.
Yeah.
Like,
and 5 should have been.
Yeah, 5 should have been. 5 should have been. Arguably 6 should have been too. Even though I'm not very keen on it, it probably should have been.
And 3.
What was nominated for Best Picture in 3 for that year? I'm still on the page. Let's see. Best Picture was Munich, Good Night and Good Luck, Capote, Brokeback Mountain, and the winner was Crash. Yeah. This should be on that list.
Take Crash out.
Yeah. No one will complain.
I mean, I do like Munich, and I do like Good Night and Good Luck, but
Munich should be there for sure. That's a really underrated movie.
I mean, it's not like he said it should have won. He's just like, it should have been nominated.
It should have been nominated. Well, if Crash won, frickin' Revenge of the Sith should have won. Like, if that's the bar we're setting,
then a lot of stuff should win.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, people like. You can talk about with 3 being really dark, but like people weren't ready for how dark 5 was. Like that kind of like some films, like those couple of years in there had a bunch of like all-time greats that at first, at least critically, had more mixed reception, like Apocalypse Now, The Shining, and Empire. Like they weren't ready for it.
Empire, by comparison to other movies of its time, was really bleak.
Well, wasn't Empire kind of not banned, but it wasn't well received at first either.
Not at all.
Right, like that. The fans gave it tons of money. The fan response was big, but the critic response was very divided.
And a lot of fans weren't super happy with it, but that changed really quickly.
Yeah, because it sticks with you. Like it does. It's so much more complex and like darker, and builds all this other story dynamic stuff that we've come to know as Star Wars. Like the things we think of as like the tenets of Star Wars.
Well, and because Lucas got to make his trilogy, like he made Episode 4, not knowing if you get to make a second movie. So
give him credit then when he doesn't kill Darth Vader at the end in the Death Star. He actually just has him wandering off in space.
Yep, right. Yep. And he made the second movie knowing that he was going to make a third movie.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it makes sense when you think of it from that point of view. It's why New Hope stands alone, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, and you even have a big medal ceremony at the end.
Yeah.
Basically, it could end right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a great space adventure kind of film, but then it's like, oh, we get to make more. Okay, now we're gonna add all these different dynamics and build on that in 2 movies.
Yep. And again, he knew he's going to make a third one, so let's build so that we actually have a conclusion. So let's keep the story moving. Why end it when we can end on the low point at the end of the second act? Because at the end of all second acts, at least in the classic trilogy sense, you have the low point,
mm-hmm.
and then 3 is the fight back.
I mean, it's called Empire Strikes Back. That's why it's a downer.
Everybody wishes they were Empire. Everybody tries to call something the Empire of this or that series. Everybody, all the time. You see that all the time. Everybody wants to be Empire.
Either that or The Dark Knight.
Batman has actually done it.
The only movie I could think of that's the Empire of its franchise is Dawn of the Planet of the Apes.
What about Dark Knight?
Dark Knight is the Dark Knight of its franchise.
That's it. Damn, you're right.
Like Dark Knight. I mean, I'm not going to debate which is better, Dark Knight or Empire, but Dark Knight is its own separate category.
Yeah.
You are definitely right about Dawn, though. It's basically the Empire, because I mean, the first one's all kind of light, kind of like the New Hope is, and then it just gets dark.
I mean, Empire revitalized sequels just in general. I mean, it redefined what a sequel could be. Could you argue that Empire is also kind of responsible, or at least for the start of the sequel trend that would get to where we are now? Maybe, but I don't want to think about that.
You had The Godfather Part 2, but that's like Part 2. Like, this was like a, more of a sequel as like a sequel as we've come to know them.
Yeah, and Empire, like you said, it's aged beautifully. It's an incredible movie. It's most people's favorite Star Wars movie.
Yeah,
mine.
I'd say it hasn't aged at all, just because so much is practical. Like, it's like the concept of age doesn't apply.
Like, my dad's the only person I know of that I can say right now who Empire is not his favorite. That's because it's because New Hope blew his mind too much.
Yeah, I guess I could understand that, being able to see that in theaters and see something new for the first time like that.
Like that's something like that's hard for me to comprehend, just because when I grew up and when I was raised is seeing something that had literally never been done before. I don't know if we've had a movie like that in our lifetimes, at least when I would be able to see one. But you think of stuff like Star Wars, Toy Story, stuff that had never been done before.
I mean, the closest thing I could possibly say is maybe some of the Mission Impossible movies with just the stunts that the actors perform.
Yeah. I think just like, I mean, I did mention it already. I don't know, like, if it did anything like that different than other stuff, but just like instant classic, like Dark Knight or something. Like, that's the only comparable thing, or Lord of the Rings, But I didn't see those in theaters until the third one, so like, I didn't really get that either.
And us growing up, it's like tons of cartoons parodied Star Wars to death. I mean, there's cartoons you watch now I go back and watch, then you look at it and it's like, well, there's a Star Wars reference. There's a like we knew about it, but we knew about Star Wars before we even watched Star Wars.
Mm-hmm. Well, I saw the VHS tapes around the house. I knew what it was. I was almost intimidated by it, to be honest with you. But it's a cultural phenomenon. If people like, you won't meet a single person that has not heard of Star Wars.
Yeah. And I think it's that interesting cross, like it's that rare cross between like it's this pop culture fan nerd phenomenon that's also regarded with like film classics and like the greatest things ever made. So it's like got that cross between like the fan craze and like the critical or industry praise.
I remember somebody it was like a thing. Someone like posted something about like, oh, I'm in this class and we have to watch Star Wars and all the nerds are freaking out. And someone's like, bitch, shut up.
Hey, fuck you.
It's Star Wars.
Who wouldn't be happy?
I might have had to watch Star Wars in class. But speaking of Star Wars, I had a teacher in a class say this, that you look at Star Wars, it's probably the centerpiece of modern American pop culture. It's like it defines American pop culture.
Yeah, because I mean, and then so much built off of that. Like, oh, people can accept like deeper, more out there concepts that build this deep lore. So we're gonna make this, and we're gonna make this, and this, and this. It's like the centerpiece.
It influenced bad movies. It influenced good movies. It changed filmmaking. It defined multiple generations of people and what they like about movies. It defined my dad's taste in movies. My mom's not a Star Wars fan, at least not big enough one where she would call herself a Star Wars fan. I feel
same.
But loved the movies. It changed his life. He showed them to me, so it became an important part of our relationship. It became an important part of my life, because I'm going to go off on a tangent here, but it's Star Wars related, so I can go there. But like as a kid, it was really strange, especially in high school, where I was always associated with Star Wars, even though there were people that were just as big of Star Wars fans as I was. For some reason, because I look like a nerd, Star Wars was the nerd thing. So, like, I know I've told you guys a story before, but I'll tell it again for the podcast. Of like, in high school, high schools have proms, right? And the guys really wanted the theme to be Star Wars, and I figured it was never gonna happen, because a Star Wars prom, like, come on, really, like, it's not gonna happen. And so I said I would go, because I had no intention of going to prom. But I said I would go if it was Star Wars related. And apparently, at least the way the story is told, I don't believe it. But the way the story has been told is that because I said those words, it galvanized people into voting for Star Wars as the theme.
They called your bluff.
Basically, yeah. Well, because I was going to be prom king, because my dick of a friend made a Facebook page that if you type in my name on Facebook, it's still there, I think. David Yash for prom king, and I was voted on the court, but I wasn't going to go, and I told him I'm not going, because people were really mad when my name wasn't as one of the nominees. It's like, because I told them I wasn't going, so they took me off of it. I had no intention of going, and so this was their way of getting me to go, kind of like the revenge thing. So we had a Star Wars prom that my name was attached to it. Now, it was a very shitty prom, I'll be honest. Like they tried, but you could tell it was made that the props were made by people that had never seen Star Wars and just looked up JPEGs of the characters, because like, they had like a Wampa with like some snow stuff for photos. C-3PO's eyes were red. The Ewok was terrified. But we walked out of Millennium Falcon that I almost destroyed, because it was only like 4 feet tall. So you had like crouched to get under it, and I wasn't paying attention. I came very close to Kool-Aid Manning my way through the Millennium Falcon. In prom. My only regret though from that is that they had like a cardboard painted Yoda that I was going to steal, and someone. I watched them take it. I watched them pick it up and walk out of the gym with it before I could. That's my one regret. And thankfully, my date, who hated Star Wars, was at least accepting of the fact that I liked Star Wars and I got nerdy with it. But even like recently, I worked on May the 4th, and I got name dropped twice on air because it was Star Wars. Other people at the station like Star Wars, but apparently I got name dropped, and then I actually got on the air because of it, because I told them that the 5th of May is Revenge of the 5th, and the weather person was like, yeah, you know what tomorrow is? Everyone's like, Cinco de Mayo. It's like, no, it's... David, what was it? So I had to scream from the other end of the room. So people on air heard me go, Revenge of the 5th, like from back in the corner. So even now, I'm still known as the Star Wars guy, even though Star Wars is like popular. And I'm into much more obscure, nerdy shit than Star Wars that I can be mocked on TV for.
At least you're getting mocked for something.
But it goes to show kind of how big Star Wars is, right?
Yeah. Well, like, it even changed like the toy industry.
Oh yeah, it did. It made studios really worry about giving directors and creators full merchandise rights. That's for sure. I mean, we talked about it earlier, but like Star Wars toys. I mean, we all have a shit ton. I still buy them. I have a Lego set of Anakin and Obi-Wan fighting on Mustafar right next to me.
And David, I don't think that page exists anymore. I searched for it. The only thing that come up are
it doesn't?
You claiming that you did not start the page, and then someone saying, yeah, you should create a countermeasure page for it.
I did think about doing that. I want to see if I can find it quick while we're talking about this. I mean, I love Star Wars toys. I still buy a crap ton of Star Wars toys. We talked about it earlier, the Star Wars toy we had. But like the one I remember too is in Disney World. They have one now, but they had another one then for like $20. You could build your own lightsaber. I was there on a band trip, so a bunch of high school kids all built their own lightsaber, and we all fought in like the hotel, like in like the main area of a Disney hotel. We're all fighting with lightsabers. I mean, and people are like filming, but they're filming from like different levels of the hotel, so it's like a gladiator pit. But we got yelled at. But I do remember after we got yelled at and told to leave, a bunch of kids from another school came by with their lightsabers. They're like, "Where's the fight?"
I wonder when the Star Wars hotel opens up. I wonder if you can just start a lightsaber fight in the lobby.
I feel like they wouldn't want you to do that, but I'd be willing to try. Well, but the problem is they don't have the $20 toys anymore, right? That's the $200 ones, and you know. You're not going to
go to a Walmart and find some $20 ones or something.
True.
Just throw them at a bunch of kids that are walking into the lobby like, I'm got lightsaber fight now. And the parents look at us like we're the weirdos.
I mean, I feel like there'd be enough dudes around our age fucking around with Star Wars stuff that it wouldn't matter. I mean, hell, my high school graduation present was the Lego Death Star, the one that was like $400. I thought I would never own. And now it's gathering dust at my parents' house because I can't physically move that thing anywhere.
So what you're saying is we need to drop it so we can rebuild it.
No, if you drop it, I will physically harm anyone. I will go ballistic. That thing took like months to build. That was my summer project. It's a really nice set though. Do not buy the one that's currently for sale. That one's a ripoff. But the new one, the one that I had, the OG one it's probably the best Lego set ever made. That or the $800 Millennium Falcon that's like it's like 2 feet long.
Size
2 or 3 feet long. Yeah, like the one I'm never gonna own, but really wish I could one day.
If I could just get it somehow without paying for it.
like stealing it.
You make it sound
Good
so
luck
bad.
stealing it. Good luck stealing it, because I've been to the local store, and I'm pretty sure that the boxes for are empty, and you have to like ask someone to go get one from the back.
Damn.
Because my mom told me that, because she told me that they tried to like guilt me when they bought it for me after having not asked for it. Because like my mom was like, yeah, I went to the Lego store. I had to carry this whole thing out of the store, and the box was huge, and we had like 10 to 15 pounds. And imagine my mom dragging this giant box to the Mall of America with the big Lego sign on it for her 18-year-old son. But even like the Star Wars merch they make now, I'll say I don't think it's as cool as the stuff we had when we were kids. Like Star Wars Nerf guns are pretty cool, I'll admit, but I do wish
there's really nothing to base it on. You're basically just making toys for the originals again, but you have to find something that hasn't been done, which is very hard at this point.
Or just
and
redo
nothing
the
in the new movies to base it on.
Or just redo the stuff that we have, like the Darth Vader voice changer helmet.
That was sick. I wanted that so bad.
Yeah, I didn't have it, but I wanted it.
I did.
I had a bunch of Revenge of the Sith figure. I had a bunch of Revenge of the Sith stuff.
The only thing that sucked was my hair getting caught in the thing and pulling it off.
Well, you bought a Kylo Ren helmet when we lived together.
Yeah, I bought that for like $20 at like a Halloween store, though.
Yeah. But I think actually it's pretty cool, though. It's not voice. But the problem is like the voice changer helmets now are terrible.
Yeah.
I just think like that sucks. It's not even the full helmet. It's like a mask.
I believe the Black Series, they have the helmets, but I don't think they're voice changers.
The Black Series stuff, like, yeah, here, you want this really cool one? Yeah, it's only cost a kidney. Although they did have, back in the day, they had those Star Wars, like the $100 lightsabers that, like, every kid wanted but could never afford.
Yep. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Oh, they were so cool. The ones that were, they're like glass, I think.
Yeah, they were like, I forget what that's called, but yeah, it was like, what was it, plexiglass? I can't remember what it was.
Did you see the new one that they're going to be coming out with at Star Wars Land, the retractable one?
I don't think it's a toy. I think it's a prop.
It better be a fucking toy.
I won't say on the record that I'd buy one, just in case my wife hears, but I would very strongly consider trying to.
If I can swing that,
I have to see a price tag first.
I'm sure the price tag is more than anyone would actually want.
Disney. It's going to be like
$6, I bet.
Yeah.
It'll be more than that, I think. I think you're looking at $1,000. I mean, how the Galaxy's Edge, they sell like the full R2-D2s for like $20K. Which I do want one of those too. But I also feel, kind of segue again, we talked about toys, but I think the other thing that we were blessed with as kids that I think other generations, especially the ones now, certainly haven't gotten is Star Wars video games. We were in the Go era for Star Wars games.
Yeah, we were definitely in the great.
Yeah.
You had pod racing, Bounty Hunter.
I mean, if you wanted to excite a group of
Battlefront
dudes at my high school, all I had to say was the word Star Wars Battlefront 2. And like every guy's like, hell yeah, here we go. I mean, and you would have like deep, detailed discussions about Battlefront 2.
Yeah, it had both eras, and it used the lore to the deep lore involved to like make something good. But then also there's a lot more story-based stuff. Like that's the Old Republic, of course, is like very famous for the story. Like because that's what Star Wars was then. Like you had to have a good story.
It also had what was it called? Galactic Conquest, where you basically were trying to take over.
Such a big mode.
Take over all the planets, and then you'd lose some. It was basically a strategy game, like where you go.
It was broken in the first Battlefront just because you'd be playing a game and you hear Darth Vader has joined the battle, and then you would just sigh because you knew that there was no way you beat them. But thankfully in 2, you can play as them now, and it's so much fun. It's so much stupid fun to play as the heroes.
Yeah, the hero battles were always fun, especially when you're on Tatooine. You get you were either Jango or Boba Fett, and you just fly to the highest. I always used to fly up to the tallest point in the map and just like start randomly shooting at people and firing rockets.
I would do the Yoda squad. I would make it so it was a squad of Yodas. I'd usually lose when I tried that, but it was funny as hell.
We also got like the original Lego Star Wars games,
Which were, I mean, Lego Star Wars: The Complete Saga is a masterpiece.
You got the prequel Yoda, which basically you would either hop around on his cane or you could float around on his little hover seat.
Or like start flipping around. God, there's so many good Star Wars games from our era. I mean, there's some bad ones too.
Well, you're always going to have a few duds here and there.
Like Clone Wars wasn't great.
We had Rogue Squadron.
I wish I had a Nintendo console so I could actually play that. But definitely better than the Star Wars games we have now. I mean, Battlefront 2 now is a great game.
Ewok Hunt.
It was not when it launched.
Oh, no. Definitely not. I mean, even the story in Battlefront 2 was very short and very predictable and kind of boring.
When the OG... Alex, you haven't even played the Battlefront 2 story, have you?
Yeah, I've played it.
I meant new Battlefront 2.
Oh. And see, when you say Battlefront 2, I just...
Everything's original.
Yeah, no, I haven't even touched it.
that was...
I know it's stupid.
See, I knew that answered the question, which is why I asked. Because,
Disney wrote it. I know how bad.
Because you play anything with a story for the story, and the fact that you haven't even touched the story, which is it's not very good. I mean, OG Battlefront 2 story is epic as hell, but new one's not great. Again, the game's super fun now if you play it now. At launch, it sucked, but now it's actually pretty good.
Now they actually brought all the prequel stuff back.
They acknowledge that they exist.
Yeah, a little bit. There should be more. They should realize, but I think they realize if they bring too much of it back, then no one's gonna want the Disney shit.
I think they're already starting to realize that.
I mean, some of the best maps on OG Battlefront 2 were the prequel ones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like the Gungan one with the bubble shield.
Yep. Our Kashyyyk, Star Wars D-Day.
Which Infinity War ripped off, the bubble shield.
Yeah, Camino in the rain.
Oh, Camino was such a good level.
Yeah.
Geonosis was great.
Yeah, because because it wasn't just you versus the droids. You also had to watch out for the Geonosians.
Dude, screw it when they throw in the third party ones. That's just broken.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Star Wars. We not to be like the back in my day we had good Star Wars people, but like you look at now.
True though.
Like the remasters, especially with Star Wars games, right? People are more excited for the re-releases of like Bounty Hunter and Republic Commando than they are for the new games that come out.
Well, even like Force Unleashed was a great game too.
Yeah, they just put out Republic Commando on Xbox One, and then I downloaded it and played it right away. I haven't even touched the new Battlefront 2 story. I saw that was on there and I played it instantly.
I haven't bought it yet, but I'm going to. I'm going to get it for PS4 or Switch at some point. Because I played the OG Republic Commando and I love it. Or even like Bounty Hunter. Bounty Hunter was put on PS4. It wasn't even remastered or anything. It was just put on the console and people ate it up like immediately.
Hey, I bought it.
Yeah, I remember because you sat up there, and I remember though that you were conflicted about buying it at first because I was there, and then you eventually were like, nah, it's Bounty Hunter. I gotta get it.
Well, because it was like, oh, it's not even remastered. I'm like, is it worth it? I'm like, you know what? I never beat this game to begin with. I always got stuck on one level. I'm gonna redo it.
Have you beat it yet?
No, but I'm like on the last level or whatever. Back when games were actually hard.
Yeah, they were. Some of them were really.
Although I think about all the games in the past that I never were very good at. It's like, man, I wish I could play that now.
See, I really want a new like Knights of the Old Republic. I'd be afraid because that means EA is gonna make it.
Not necessarily. What's the new company?
That's true. Ubisoft does have the rights now.
Oh, so it can become a games as a service game.
Yeah, that's not any better.
Knights of the Old
is not any better.
I would like a Battlefront game where you can go from space battle, fly a ship down to land, and go to a land battle.
That's all we want.
Well, they were working on it, and then all of a sudden it was like, whoosh, the rug pulled out right under him.
But I mean, Fallen Order is like the best written Star Wars thing since the Lucas days. I feel like. I mean, it's not like at that level, but it's like certainly like feels like Star Wars.
It is, but the gameplay kind of, for me, I thought it kind of sucked.
Too bad I can't play it on my base PS4 without it completely freaking out at me. And that's honestly why I can't play it that much. I've gotten pretty far in it. I got to the fight with the giant bat and kind of went, "This is stupid," and took a.
Oh yeah, you can't play that with lag. That part's already hard enough.
Yeah, like there's enough lag. I'm like, this is dumb, and I just kind of quit. I was gonna go back to it, but I never, because to me, Fallen Order felt like what I wanted Force Unleashed to be. I wish Fallen Order was a little more fast-paced hack and slash action, but you feel a lot more powerful with a lightsaber than you do in Fallen Order. I'm sorry, than you do in Force Unleashed.
Mm-hmm. I wish in Fallen Order we could freaking cut stormtroopers' arms off.
I mean, isn't that really the biggest sin that Disney made?
Yes, it is.
Is that we're not going to get 1313?
Oh,
that too.
Like that to me, them canceling 1313, because I remember the hype for that game was intense.
I mean,
because rated M Star Wars, it was something we all wanted.
And it's okay to be for kids and everything, but what about all those fans who are now not kids anymore? It's like, we want something a little different. It's kind of like why Rogue One was kind of a little disappointing because it wasn't as. They're like, it's a war film. I'm like, not a lot of war going on.
Revenge of the Sith feels like a war film. I don't see much war here.
And that's really like the big issue with the Star Wars merch now is it's made so much for money, and yet it was back then too. But like the stuff we had, it didn't feel like when you bought like a Star Wars product, it didn't feel like you were getting something special. It does not feel that way because now everything's Star Wars.
It felt new. Now it just kind of feels. Oh, reskin.
Yeah, because that's a problem with the new movies and all their new stuff, and then it's hard to build merch off that, and then it's not being made. I feel like it's not being made with as much care. Like I'm not entirely sure what companies are doing it now, but like, Lucas was very selective, right? Like with who could make the stuff.
Well, and even look at Lucas's films. Like in the original trilogy, we got X-wings, TIE fighters, and everything. In the prequels, we have the droid ships. We have the
spider droids.
Yeah.
I think. Mm-hmm. Well, vulture droids. And we have all different kinds of ships. We have the clone troopers, landing crafts, and the ones that drop off the AT-STs. It's like everything was close to. It looked a lot like original trilogy stuff, but it was also newer. Now in the Disney trilogy, it's just X-wing but orange, and TIE fighters with a red stripe down the middle. And I would much rather have a Lego set of an OG X-wing than a new X-wing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, well, this is just the same. I'd rather have the one from the thing I liked.
Yep. Also, but another big Star Wars thing that I remember that I don't think Disney would ever do again because of the park stuff. But like, I remember when Star Wars in Concert came out. Because I went to that with my dad. My dad bought tickets like as soon as they were on sale. Because it was a whole orchestra playing music from the movies, not music to the movies, which they are doing now. And I got really mad because I couldn't go to it. But they are doing that now. But it was music it was like a big arena concert. Anthony Daniels was there, full orchestra, lasers. It was like an entire arena full of nerds cheering the Star Wars. And this is pre-Disney, so there was like a specialness to it of that we're all like together watching the Star Wars music. I mean, and honestly, it was one of the best places to people watch.
Oh, I bet.
I've ever been to. Oh my god! And we went to the matinee, so it was mostly kids. I'm sure if we went to the evening performance, it would have been more of the nerds. But there was still a few. Like, I will never forget two people. One was the guy who sat next to us, who looked like the comic book guy from The Simpsons, like perfectly. And the other guy was this. It was so funny. It's this guy in the full Jedi robes. And right behind him, man, right behind, a couple feet behind, but like close enough, were two parents. Like, this guy had to be like in his 30s. And there was two other people that were probably his parents right behind him. And me and my dad, and I was probably like 15 at the time. And me and my dad just freaking laughed. Now, granted, I was also there with my parents, but I was 15.
I was going to say, you're not 30.
It was acceptable. It was an acceptable age.
I mean, if I was that age, I'd be going with you guys. I wouldn't be going with my parents.
Mm-hmm. And I have a wife now, so not only is it not sad, I'm now like in like the top like 10% coolest people there, because I'm there
The top
with a
percentage of
woman,
Star Wars fans.
because I'm there with a woman who's not related to me.
All of a sudden, they all turn and go, "Whoa, man! Whoa, man! Whoa!"
Yeah. They all start bowing. Saying, we're not worthy. We're not worthy.
And we're
Now,
Star Wars
what?
nerds too, guys. So we're making fun of ourselves too. We're not making fun of all of you.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
It is funny in my family. Like my mom was like the biggest Star Wars fan before like raising me to be that way. But my mom was like the biggest one of my parents.
I mean, I would have been one of those people too had I not met my wife.
It's all right. My sister feels weird sometimes. She's like, "I feel weird sometimes. I'm like the only girl I know who likes Star Wars." I'm like, "Good. Some guy will like that."
Yeah, you make me very happy. I mean, my wife loves Star Wars, not as much as I do, but her dad loves it. I mean, their basement is filled with like miniatures from like the board games, like just everywhere. I'm impressed, but also jealous, and a little bit disturbed, only because I kind of got a glimpse to my future.
Gonna have a room just full of little figures.
Oh, it's already getting there. Not necessarily with Star Wars, but with my other crap. Like Helena's not happy that I bought 12 Lego Looney Tune figures at Barnes and Noble. But I got them all. First try in blind bags. So I'm impressed with myself.
That's all right. I look at my room sometimes and it's like, yep, Star Wars figures, and oh look, Green Bay Packer bobbleheads. Just what you expect.
Yeah. I see Star Wars figures.
I do have the plush Baby Yoda. I mean, not the plush, like the nice Baby Yoda. You know which one I'm talking about? With the plastic head.
There's so many different ones.
I got the good one.
I thought about buying one.
Yeah.
There's the one like that. It's like just like the prop. It's like.
I was also at like a cheap end store and I found the Spiro R2D2 and I bought it.
The what?
It's like the Spiro, the company.
Oh shit!
And you can connect it with download an app on your phone and kind of.
Oh, that's
control
right. I remember those were things. How much did you pay for it?
Like $20 at a cheap end store.
Damn, those were like 100 when they came out.
Yeah, I know. I was like, well, I'm getting this.
Oh, I do have my Air Hogs. I have an Air Hog X-Wing and an Air Hog Millennium Falcon that I got for Christmas. That's somewhere in here. Most of it is at my parents' house, actually, which sounds really depressing now that I think about it. But I'm sure we'll get more of it at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's Star Wars stuff. I just wish the newer stuff was better. I wish I'd buy more of it.
Yeah.
Same.
We don't want to hate it.
No, I want to buy Star Wars stuff. Like, we still buy some stuff because Helena for our apartment bought Cantina coasters. Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, people can't see it, but Justin is currently showing us the R2-D2 toy he bought. That I'm sure will make a future woman very happy when she sells it at a garage sale for...
Well, what's really funny is when I turn it on, my dog like freaks out from it and starts trying to attack it. So I can also change like the sound effects too, so it's really funny.
I wanted that thing. I just couldn't justify the price of it.
Oh, neither could I. But like I said, I found it at like a Marshalls or something. It was just like $20-$40. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get it.
Damn, I should go to Marshalls then see if I can find. I mean, I should, because again, I don't want to piss off my wife with buying more crap. But I also want more crap, like the $800 Millennium Falcon, which I'm sure there's no coming back from if I ever buy that. But anyway, to end the show, I was thinking maybe we go ahead and rank the movies. And kind of fight for a little bit. Are we gonna rank all 9 or just the 6?
Depends if you guys would put any of the new 3 higher than anything from the Lucas ones, because I wouldn't. So I would just.
I have one ranked higher than 2 and 1.
Then we probably should do all of them.
Ah, shit. Are we putting Rogue One and Solo in there too? Or are we just saying fuck those ones?
I mean, I have them in there.
Oh, fuck. Okay.
Might as well. For me, it's very easy.
I made my list on Letterboxd.
Okay, I didn't. Because mine's pretty. I mean, 1
and 2 are pretty simple.
Yeah. Because like for me, the bottom is Rise of Skywalker.
Yep, Solo.
I have Rise of Skywalker, and then I have Solo. And then I put Last Jedi.
Same.
And then I'm torn. I'm torn between 1 and Force Awakens.
Interesting.
I'm torn between 1 and Force Awakens at the next, because I'm not. No, sorry, 2 and Force Awakens, or is it 1? They're all like to me pretty equal.
Pretty much.
To me, Force Awakens, Phantom Menace, and Attack of Clones could all be like at that same level spot.
I have them all ranked the same, like score wise, and then I just have like 2. I have mine go 2, 1, and then I have Force Awakens ranked just above them. But those literally can change depending on my mood.
Mine is not that way. Like I have I have 2 above all of those by like a tier, and that's like my weakest of the Lucas ones, because I would go, I mean, my bottom is the same. My bottom is probably, I guess, Rise of Skywalker and then Last Jedi. I mean, they're both pretty close. I did not see Solo.
Solo would be at the bottom had you seen it.
Probably. Then Force Awakens. And then probably Rogue One for me, because, you know, I like I said, I'm the biggest prequel stan here. Rogue One and Attack of the Clones are pretty close. So I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I put Rogue One.
I think it being part of like that prequel trilogy, I think I would put Attack of the Clones over just being part of that bigger story, but they're both pretty close. I do like Rogue One.
I'd put Rogue One next. And then for me, it's 3, 6, 4, 5.
I have Return of the Jedi then 3.
See, I could probably interchange them. Well, I honestly have to rewatch them. It's been a while since I watched them all. And it might change.
Well, mine, like I said, after 2 is 1, and then I'd say there's a pretty significant jump, like tier jump. This is where everyone hates me, right?
Don't tell me 3's at the top, because then I'm gonna just.
No, Empire's at the top.
But three's gonna be above New Hope. I know it's coming.
Yes, it is, because number 4 is A New Hope.
I knew that was coming.
Which, like, disclaimer, like, all the Disney ones are 3 or below, except Rogue One. Like, as far as out of 5, Attack of the Clones 3.5, Phantom Menace 4, and then New Hope is like 4.5. So, like, it's a whole different like tier level. But then I would go. To me, 6 and 3 are really close. Honestly, like maybe 6-3. I did just watch 3, so there's maybe some recency, but I've also seen them lots of times.
We're gonna put Alex's email and contact information in the description. You can send.
There are more of us than you think.
Oh, there are dozens of us.
Dozens. Well, it's not that I don't love A New Hope. It's just like I think like what the other ones do story-wise, what the other top ones do story-wise is better.
It's not that you don't love A New Hope, but you don't love A New Hope, and that you are a wrong Star Wars fan. Now I must gatekeep you.
And then obviously, like Empire is like everyone's top. That's like, yeah, that's just, I have it at number 1, of course.
What do I have? I'm just looking at my scores now to make sure I actually make sure my ranking actually makes sense the way I've said about them.
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I did that too. I had to adjust scores based on my list. I was like,
I've had a change of heart. I'm sure I have Solo as like the worst score on it.
I have both Rise of Skywalker and Solo at 2 stars.
I have Phantom Menace at 2.5. I could probably up it to 3 if I really felt like it.
Oh, boo.
I gotta change my Last Jedi score.
Yeah, mine is.
I'm changing it from 3 to 2.5.
Interesting.
We're making progress. Yeah, I have Phantom Menace at 4. I don't care. I love Phantom Menace.
Well, I
love that you're like trying to pick a fight with us when like really we don't want to fight about this.
my thing.
Well, you usually do. You fought when I had 6 above 4, and now I have 3 above 4.
Yeah, because it's funny. It's not funny when other people can hear me do it.
I mean, the only way I'd attack you is if you had one of the newer ones over 4.
Yeah, or if you had.
Yeah, that would be offensive.
Or if you had 1 or 2 above 4, then I'd kind of start.
Yeah, that would also be offensive.
If you had 3 at the top, I would have been like, hey, now, calm down.
Yeah, it does have. I think it. Like, yeah, it's still Empire. Like, I mean, I'm not gonna.
I'm right behind you over it all. I mean, I love the. I don't love the prequel movies, but I love that era. I love the story. I love the Clone Wars. I love everything that goes on in that era.
Well, but the problem I have with like something like Letterboxd is you have to judge the movies on their own merits and by themselves.
Yeah, not as one.
As one, I give the prequels a really high score, but if I have to go and judge them individually, they're going to be lower.
Exactly.
Except
3. Well, 1 and 2
that's why, like, I have, Attack of the Clones for me, like, how much I love the prequels, like, I have it at 3.5, which, like, seems closer to the Disney ones, but as part of that whole, it's better. Phantom Menace 3, I think, for me, stand on their own, but 2 is the one that's, like, is good, but it's better when it's part of that package.
2 is good if you take out all the love scenes and everything, and...
Yeah, that does sag it down.
Or at least, like, can we cut
the opening?
The opening is great. The flying through Coruscant, trying to track down the Changeling. Obi-Wan going on his quest to find out this mystery.
That's why I'm here.
The ending battle. The reveal of the clones.
But yeah, I cannot defend the romance plotline for sure. Like, that's definitely the weakest writing in the Lucas movies.
I mean, the third act of all the prequels is pretty great, though. That's like the best part of all of them.
I mean, honestly, there's one more Star Wars movie we could rank, and
don't say Clone Wars.
No one's seen that one except you.
Yeah, I know. And it's bad.
I forgot that. I forgot it existed. I feel like everyone does. I forgot it existed.
Everyone remembers the show, but they forget the movie because the movie was bad.
Well, that's because the movie's basically just 4 episodes cut together, and for some reason they have Samuel L. Jackson in there, and
Christopher Lee's back too, isn't he?
yeah, like half the cast is from the prequel trilogy, and half the cast is from the show, and you're like, this doesn't make any sense.
I do forget Solo exists too. I know you guys don't because you've seen it, but I do forget that one exists.
I do.
Here, Overdahl. I'm going to tell you how you've seen Solo. Think of every little thing, every check mark that you think would be in a Solo movie, and you got it.
Watch the Red Letter Media video where they talk about like the sarcastic what the movie's going to be about.
Yeah,
they're right.
I saw that. Yeah, I know. They were right about all of them. They were right about Last Jedi. They were right about Rise of Skywalker. They were right about Solo sarcastically. It's incredible.
But also, too, if you haven't seen their reviews of the prequels, holy shit, you need to watch them. They have like the Mr. Plinkett. It's like an hour-long review of Phantom Menace. It's pretty anti-Phantom Menace, so it might piss Alex off.
Yeah, see, I'm not gonna have a good time watching that.
No, but you will, because it's really funny. Because a lot of it is like they have the behind-the-scenes footage of George Lucas watching the movie for the first time, and they're all like, "What the hell do we do?" It is pretty funny. Now the one Star Wars thing that everyone forgets about that they shouldn't is the OG Genndy Tartakovsky Clone Wars show, which is sick as hell.
Yes, it is.
A lot of people have negative feelings about it because they remember when it came out for the first time, it was only like in 5-minute chunks in commercial breaks of Cartoon Network shows, and that really pissed a lot of people off.
Well, I wouldn't say it pissed me off. I was just confused. It's like, oh, we're gonna see this Star Wars animated thing, and then you're watching it, and all of a sudden, like 5 minutes, the first episode is basically no dialogue and whatever, and all of a sudden it's just over with, and you're like, and all of a sudden the next cartoon's on, you're like, what's going on? Is that it? Why is that it? I want more.
But then you watch it as a whole, and holy shit, it's good. It's real, and it fills in some pretty important plot points. It has Palpatine getting kidnapped, which sets up Episode 3. It has Anakin losing the Padawan braid. General Grievous. It shows why he coughs.
Yeah, which I will say the other one does not really do that. I mean, it stays in canon and explains some things, but it's like Palpatine getting captured, that's not explained at all. Or
I gotta watch more of the original or the newer one, but it's on the list. I'll watch it eventually.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna tell you upright, the first season you're gonna want to quit.
That's why I didn't watch it to begin with. I watched the first 5 episodes, but this sucks, and stopped watching.
But as the seasons get on, it gets darker and very well done.
What did you say, Alex?
Time to abandon ship.
And then there's Rebels, which even less people liked.
Oh,
yeah, that wasn't.
I've seen
good.
more of that than I wish I had, which the amount I wish I had is zero.
I watched all of it, and I wish I hadn't. I mean,
I heard Rebels has some good moments.
Yes, like
particularly, I know
the opening episode, the middle episode, and the ending episodes are like the only good episodes in this show. It takes away what Filoni did in Clone Wars, where he was willing to kill any character that you didn't see, and this one does not kill any characters to like any of the main characters, like until like 4 episodes before it ends, and you're like there's like one character in Rebels that he should have died like after season 2.
But don't they like? I heard there's an episode, I think, where Obi-Wan fights Darth Maul again that people were really happy with.
Yes. I was very happy with that one.
But then they made Resistance, which nobody saw.
I did. It's not good.
Why do you...
It's full... I give Filoni the benefit of the doubt.
Filoni had nothing to do with that show. I know for a fact he had nothing to do with that show.
I know. But it wasn't what they promised it was going to be either. So, I mean, they said it was going to be
Wasn't it like a racing show?
Which it never is. After the first episode or first or second episode, it's a racing show. After that, never a racing show again.
I love that it ended after 2 seasons. and they try to talk like it was supposed to be a 2-season show. We all know it got canceled.
It was not supposed to, because season 2 was already connected. Like at the end of season 1, it was already connecting to The Force Awakens, and it's like, if they didn't have a plan for the movies, what makes you think they had a plan for this show? I will admit, in the animation, it was kind of a love-hate relationship with the animation, because it was unique, yet it was kind of too kiddie.
It seems to be what they're doing with the new Marvel What If show too. Same style.
And I mean, I watched the first episode of The Bad Batch. Episode 2 comes out this Friday, so we'll see how that goes.
How was episode 1?
Well, it's basically a 70-minute episode, and it's going very well. There's one character that I have to see where they take the character, considering I did not like what I saw in the last 5 minutes.
Okay. That's fair. I haven't seen it yet because I'm not in the Clone Wars, so I'll watch it eventually, probably.
But
whenever I get around to finishing.
It's better than I thought it would be, considering I wasn't exactly excited for The Bad Batch, because they were only in 4 episodes of the Clone Wars, and then that, and they also retconned some comic books they recently published a couple years ago.
Has Disney Plus added the OG Hanna-Barbera Ewok and droid shows?
I want to say yes.
Because those are something else.
Or at least the holiday special.
They made the Ewoks into like Smurfs.
Maybe not that, but I think
it's on Disney Plus. Ewoks is on Disney Plus. Yeah, it is.
Oh, yeah, there it is. And they also have the 2 movies,
which I was going to bring up next, which is, have you guys actually seen
no.
I know about them.
The Ewok movies. I've watched them. I watched them when I was a kid. Wow. It is.
I thought about it out of curiosity, but I was like, I'm not that curious. Because the Ewoks aren't even my favorite part of the Return of the Jedi, and that's kind of one of the reasons it brings it down just a little bit. So,
but they are wild. They are so bizarre and like dark too. Because the whole point of the first movie is the Ewoks have to help these kids find their parents. And in the first 5 minutes of the second one, the parents and the older brother die.
Well, that's like
immediately when the movie starts. It was amazing.
Well, it's like in Aliens 2 when they're trying to save Newt, and then the next movie she's dead.
It completely defeats the purpose. Yeah, the first one is Caravan of Courage, an Ewok Adventure. God, I love these movies because they're terrible. Because they are very bad, but they're also like they're not bad in like the Solo way. They're bad and this is hilarious. I'm in love with this kind of way. Why did this get
Super
made?
Mario movie way?
Kinda, yeah. But anyway, I think we covered pretty much everything to do with Star Wars. And we've been talking for a long time. So I'm going to say that we're probably out of time talking about Star Wars. I'm just looking at the Ewok stuff that's making me laugh. It's distracting me, but it's really funny. But anyway, like I said, we're out of time. So thank you so much for listening to us rant about Star Wars. Let us know what you thought about our opinions and your favorite Star Wars memories on the comments of our YouTube page. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to us on YouTube. We're also on Spotify, Anchor FM, and Google Podcasts. We're also on Facebook. So if you want to kind of keep up with what we're doing, I don't think we update that page as much as we probably should. But if you want to keep up to date with what we're doing, go ahead and like us there. We're also on Letterboxd. Our links to our Letterboxd accounts, as we mentioned, our scores today on this podcast. If you want to see our scores or more of our scores and reviews, our links to our article, links to our profiles is on our YouTube page. Thank you so much for listening. For Alex Silva on this night, so I'm David Yanish. This has been Idiot Plot, and I'll see you next time.